And good morning, everybody. It's March 11th, 2020. And we're taking a look at the stock market. I'm Rob Booker. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe or follow if you haven't already. That would mean the world to me. There's a ton of stuff to get to. Most importantly, that the leader of Germany, Angela Merkel, says to the German people, you are likely to get the coronavirus. She literally said, no immunity, no therapy exists. 60 to 70% of the population will be infected. So literally, one of the world's largest economies, the leader of one of the world's largest economies, basically warns her entire country, you're going to get it. It seems like a great way to spread panic, which is exactly what it did. This is exactly what a person does if they want their rich banking friends to get stocks at a discount. It's absolutely insane to me that something like this would be said. I don't think there's any chance in the world that that's necessarily true. Of course, it's bad. It's probably worse than some people thought and whatever else. But literally telling your people 60 to 70% of you are going to get infected and there's nothing we can do about it is like, no wonder this lady looks so unhappy all the time. She's basically, she does look like look at her. Like, she looks like the most unhappy person on the planet. I'm sure she's a beautiful person. I'm sure on the inside she's just beautiful. Trump, on the other hand, calls an emergency White House meeting to talk about the virus, about stimulus measures, about a payroll tax cut, about doing something. You know, you can criticize people. You can criticize like the approach. You can criticize the solution. You could do all kinds of things, and I think the reasonable people differ about that kind of stuff. I think that's a lot better than telling 70% of your population that you're going to get sick. I think that's a ridiculous thing to do. Maybe a payroll tax cut isn't the answer. Maybe a bailout isn't the answer. Maybe bailing out Carnival Cruises isn't the answer, which is probably going to happen. We'll take a look at that later today. But I think doing something is the answer, and you can hate him, you can love him, you can disagree with Trump on a lot of stuff, but at least he's doing this instead of golfing, which we've had presidents that, you know, went golfing instead of solving problems. So here's where we are now. Dow was down 700 points this morning as hopes fade for a swift and strong response by the government to the coronavirus. And so here's what the chart looks like. If you take a look at the charts right now, if you look at the S&P 500, it's down. It's not as down as much as some people thought it would be. There's a guy in Wall Street Bets that said the S&P 500 was going to have its largest losing day today. It just reminds you that anonymous people aren't the greatest at predicting things. So I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's not a jerk and a blowhard, and I'm sure he's not full of himself. He posted like 73 charts to prove that he was right, and I've probably already misquoted him, so he probably hates me. I don't really care anyway. The S&P 500 isn't having its worst day ever, and it says a lot, right? I mean, the next level lower than where we are right now is way down there. It's at 260, and 260 is way down there. We'd have to have a pretty substantial additional problem with companies that we don't know about already to get all the way down to that level. If you want to think about where price is going next, you first get your levels in place, which we have. And the second is you've got to have a story that gets you there. We would have to have a massive increase in cases. We'd have to have some kind of failure to do any kind of stimulus. I think that would be the trigger. That would be the catalyst. We'd have to have some kind of failure to get any stimulus package in order. Someone wrote me on Instagram the other day and said, hey, could you do a lesson about how to trade during the coronavirus? I think what you do is you look for the setups you always look for, and you cut your trades off when they're losing, and you let your trades ride when they're winning. It doesn't really change anything. The fact that we're dropping or we dropped a bunch doesn't really change anything. We're probably headed for the final leg down in the near term. And I think you've got to start looking at if we break below 272. So if we draw a line here, like right around there, 272, we break below that line. There's already so much buying of S&P 500 puts. There's already so much activity there. It's probably hard to even find a trade that you could take that you would like. So you could substitute that with like buying some calls on the VXX, for example. That is always an interesting idea to me anyway, but we've already made some pretty significant highs here. So can we retest those highs? Every chart seems to look the same these days now. Things that were going up seem to be looking like they go up the same, and things that were going down seem to all look the same. It's hard to find good stuff in times like this. Things that I like are companies with good fundamentals that seem to have fallen on hard times, like Tupperware or H&R Block. Companies with good fundamentals that seem to be able to ride out the storm, either because they're inside a consumer discretionary spending, or they are somehow connected to, like, tax season or whatever else. Or TLRD. I do own TLRD. I do own HRB. I do own some Tupperware. TLRD, for example, owned by Michael Burry from The Big Short. Lots of insider buying of those shares. It's got potential for a short squeeze, and no one's looking at it right now. It's just getting dumped. It's getting taken out with the rest of the garbage. Although, is it really garbage? Is it really terrible? In the next couple of days, I'm going to send you an email about a stock that's trading under $5. You should pay attention to that email, because I'm going to do a webinar next Monday. I don't know what day the Monday is. Monday the 16th or whatever. I'm going to do a webinar about that, and I think it's going to be amazing. All of the stocks I like are also being bought by insiders. You're also going to see some emails coming from me about that as well. Bankers face, this is one of my favorite stories going on right now, that bankers face a harsh new reality, says Bloomberg, with the coronavirus. You see, tons of money, like billions and billions and billions of dollars, was lent to companies that may fail to pay that money back. That's junk bond debt. And so you get things like JNK. This is the SPDR junk bond ETF. This doesn't seem like it has anywhere to go but down. It seems really hard to imagine a scenario under which it gets easier for a zombie company. That's a company that has a ton of debt and can't even make the interest payments on the debt. It has to roll over its debt every 3 months. There's 10% of all public companies are zombie companies. They couldn't pay the interest on their debt. They can't, and so they have to keep borrowing. When that money dries up, when that lending dries up, when banks don't want to lend that money to those places, that's what falls. Look at junk. Look at JNK. I don't have any trade on this right now. I don't have any position open in this, but I can't find any put options that would be reasonably priced enough for me to do this. But boy, this looks pretty spectacular. This looks like one of those instruments that needs to fall a lot farther. If you think about what's going to do the worst when things get bad, what's going to do the worst? People or companies with bad credit are going to suffer from all of this stuff going on. So in other kind of more interesting news, a centuries-old law against cursing in public was repealed by Virginia legislatures. So that's awesome. I was going to say that was effing awesome, but I just figured that would just be the obvious joke. But that's pretty interesting. Like, you think about the world we live in today. You think about everything's advanced. You think about the financial system is advanced. But it's not. You think that the old efficient market theorists that say all the price is already priced in, and efficient market theory that everything is priced is exactly where it should be, and blah blah blah. It's not. That's completely, like, there's still some really stupid things going on out there. There's still some really, you're going to find during this financial crisis, you're going to find that the bad companies rise to the surface again. We're going to get a lot of news about a lot of bad stuff going on at a lot of companies that weren't doing well, and we don't know about that yet. But it's just like these stupid laws that are sitting on the books out there. There are stupid things going on in the financial system. One of those things is that energy companies that were really bad were allowed to stay in business. I took a loss today on GTE, Grand Tierra Energy. A lot of insider buying in this stock and whatever else. The technicals looked okay, but then it just kept falling. The oil war is escalating. The Saudis and the Russians can't agree on production cuts to raise the price of oil. Russia's going to go it alone. They need the money. They don't care. They produce it so cheaply, they don't care anyway. The Saudis need the price of oil to stay, above 50 bucks or whatever it is. There's going to be an all-out war on the price of oil. It's not good right now. Oil dropped, and someone said, is it time to buy oil now? It seems unreasonable. That doesn't seem the case. I think one of the major things that we're going to see is poorly managed energy companies, especially in the United States, aren't going to do well in this crisis. You're going to find that a lot of those companies needed debt to survive, and they're not going to survive. I took a loss on this company. I thought it might do well in this environment, and it didn't. Here's one of my favorite stories today. Florida elementary school assembles the world's largest tape ball. And you wonder why we have so many problems in this country and people can't wash their hands. It's because an elementary school is building a tape ball. That's what they're doing. That's what your kids went to school today so they could make a giant ball of tape. I mean, you're better off just keeping them at home and making them work. It's pretty crazy. So a ton of stuff that I did that was a mistake. We talk a lot about how smart I am, because I do happen to be pretty smart every once in a while. But I'm also pretty dumb. I bought Drive Shack. That dropped. I had to dump that today. I took a loss on that. I bought Club. That did really poorly during the, and then MMLP, I took a loss on that as well. I bought 1,000 shares for $2.55. I took a almost $1,000 loss on MMLP today. So I have my good times, I have my bad times, I have my good decisions, I have my bad decisions. I'm going to have another run up here in the near future, and hopefully we'll be together to talk about that. We have another, as we always do, we have another giveaway coming up here probably on Friday. If you want to write me an email to rob@wrbooker.com and let me know the story of someone whose life could be changed if we were able to send them $500 or $1,000. One of these trades over the next couple of days that I've taken that I still have in my account is going to be up $500 or $1,000. We'll close that trade, and then we'll give that money away. If you can send me a story, Holly and Justin and I will read through those stories. Just send me an email to rob@wrbooker.com with the story of a friend, a neighbor, a family member whose life could be changed or helped with some money. We always want to put the first things first in our lives. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. If you enjoy the video, leave a like. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. And maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye for now.